Our film takes the form of a journalistic procedural, and the story itself is a star. Characters are well defined and are broadened in the course of the film, but they always serve the development of the story. We witness the painstaking research and investigation required to uncover the truth behind sexual offences committed by priests in the Boston area in the early 2000s, but also the systematic efforts to ignore the roots of these crimes and to protect priests and the Catholic Church from full disclosure. The film is constructed in much the same way as a good newspaper article, offering various points of view which are balanced to some degree, though we are never in any doubt as to which standpoint will win out. The extent of the abuse is gradually revealed to both the journalists and the audience, growing from an apparently isolated case to a virtual pandemic involving some 87 priests in Boston alone, with the suggestion that this is a recognised global phenomenon affecting some 6% of the priesthood. It becomes clear that the Catholic Church is aware of the problem, but has failed to take definitive or preventative action, opting to transfer those priests involved rather than dismiss them, enabling them to continue their practices in other dioceses. Each case is handled discreetly in order to protect the priests involved and to protect the reputation and standing of the Church in the community, with minimal compensation offered and use of emotional blackmail and false assurances to ensure families' silence. Thus, further victims are sacrificed on the altar of church protection and social responsibility. But this seems to be a price devotees of the Church are willing to allow others to pay for the sake of social position and standing, as they turn what is effectively a blind but knowing eye on those wretched goings-on, even attempting to gently pressure our journalists to abandon the piece for the greater good of the community. We are privy to emotional and harrowing accounts of how innocent youths are inveigled into situations that left them open to abuse, both physical and emotional, and which left psychological scars and long-term effects on self-respect, relationships and general outlooks as they felt shame, embarrassment and guilt. We even gained some insight into the minds of the abusers through a brief interview with one of the abusive priests, a seemingly harmless and forthright old man who appears to recognise no accountability for his actions, vaguely disassociating himself from guilt and responsibility while claiming his abuse of innocence gave him no pleasure. This is not developed, but perhaps he and the others rationalised their position while failing to perceive their victims as feeling human beings who would be traumatised by their violation of them. The journalists are methodical, painstaking and professional, but they are also emotionally affected by the facts and deeds they uncover. They are all too aware of the potential consequences for the Church and community as pressure is brought to bear in the form of emotional blackmail, haughty refusal to cooperate, probable family conflicts, and vague threats concerning social standing and job security. But all are determined to seek justice for those abused in the past and also in the present, since ineffective official action has resulted in continued abuse that is going unchecked. Systems of checks and balances in society exist to ensure standards and to protect against abuse of any kind. However, if individuals, groups and society at large are willing to ignore or turn a blind eye to abuse, amounting to the betrayal of those abused, we require an external or objective source of investigation interested in truth. And if ever there was a film that justified the existence of quality journalism as a tool to ensure accountability in society, this is it. We assume a level of decorum and propriety in society, so we are shocked and dismayed as, through the eyes of our high-minded and principled journalists, we discover the nature and extent of essentially unchecked abuse as it is gradually and cleverly unveiled. The strength of the film is certainly in the performances, but also, and more importantly, in the measured divulgence of the facts and magnitude of the case, which ensure audience engagement and emotional investment. My thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you found it of some value.